All right, we're going to speed run past the arrows, the custom lambdas in VBA. If you want to download those, look at the link in the description. In order to parse these roles, right? I'm going to look at the role. I'm going to look at both characters. I'm going to look at the first character, the second character, and then determine the number of points, right? Is my strategy here. So there's the role. Now I'm going to look up both characters here. So I look up that on this, locked with F4, returning this, also locked. Now I'm gonna XLOOKUP the left character of the role, right? On this part locked, returning on this part locked. All right, and then I'm gonna do the same thing, but for the right character here. Now the points, so ifs, this is a bust, then that's 0 points. If this is an in turn, then it's 0 points. If it otherwise, if it is a number, then it's that many points, E18. Otherwise, it's the sum of these. Otherwise, it's the sum of these. Did I put it if missing? Right. So if missing, call that none. All right. So now that's the number of points for each roll. Now I'm going to do the same thing for 10 rolls, right? So equals, let's say, by row, wrap rows, and then string to array is a custom lambda. By rows, wrap rows are built in. So I turn that to an array, then I wrap it by 2, and then I concatenate by row. All right, so this is the same for the points for each roll, but I got to handle busting also. So your total starts at 0, right? And if this is a bust, then it's 0 again. Otherwise, it's last time plus this time. So your final total is here in the last cell. All right, now we're going to play a 2-player game. So let's say that I have the active player here, and this is player 1 total and player 2 total. The active player starts at 1, and then, if this equals 1, then 2, otherwise 1, because we switch after every roll. So if the active player is player 2, then you just bring down the previous one. Your score cannot change. If this is a bust, your score is 0. If this is an intern, doesn't matter if it's an intern, you just use it turns over anyway. So if it's a bust, then 0. Otherwise, it is last time plus this time. Right? So there's my otherwise for the ifs, and then that stuff. For the player 2 total, right? If player number is 1, then we just bring it down. Otherwise, everything, should be the same. That's the same as this. All this comes down like this. And then the winning player had a score of 170. All right, let's see if I'm right so far. Looks like it. 3 is correct. All right, so 4. Now we're going to roll 3 times. You intern, you keep, intern, you lose what you've accumulated, and you can bank what you've accumulated. So let's, pretty much all of this is going to change, right? So the active player starts at 1. What are we going to need to know? So we're going to need to know what the player's wallet is. You keep your points in a wallet, and then you put it in the bank when you're done. We need to know well, before we do the wallet, let's do a roll number. So what roll number are you on? What is in your wallet after the roll? What is in player 1's bank? And what is in player 2's bank, right? The wallet always belongs to the active player. So your roll number, it starts at 1, and we'll deal with the rest later. So your wallet is going to be, it's going to start over if it's a new player, otherwise it carries down. So if this equals this, then your wallet is last time plus this time. Otherwise, it is just this time, because your wallet starts over if it's a new player. All right, so your bank now, so there's a few possibilities. Either you're going to bank your money, you're going to bust, or nothing, or you just bring down that, or you just carry on, right? So ifs, let's do the bank scenario first, right? So if your roll number is 3, and it has to be player 1, right? So if the active player is 1 and you're on roll number 3, then and you are, it's not a bust, and it is not an intern. Yeah, active players 1, roll number 3, not a bust, not intern. Then you bank. All right. So ifs, this is all in an and, right? So if all of these are true, then you're banking. So in that case, it's that plus what is in the wallet. Otherwise, another possibility is busting. So if it is player 1's turn and this is a bust, then your bank goes to 0. Otherwise, your bank doesn't change. It's just whatever it was last time. All right, so that's player 1's bank. Player 2 bank is the same. It's just, it's got to be, the player numbers have got to be 2, and the prior bank is the player 2 bank. All right, so now for active player, so there's a few things that causes the player to switch. So if that was your third roll, then you switch. If your last roll was an intern, then you switch. If your last roll was a bust, then you switch. That's probably it. So if you switch, then, if that equals 1, then 2, otherwise 1. Otherwise, it's the same player's turn again. So that handles our turn switching. Roll in. So if we switched players, then we're on roll 1. So if this equals this, then we're on the next roll, right? Otherwise, we're on roll 1. And the rest of this I got already, right? So, this stuff and this stuff. One last tricky thing is that the final roll the game doesn't end on roll 3. The final roll always counts as roll 3, right? So you always bank on the final roll. Even if you wouldn't normally bank, the final roll always counts as roll 3. So the maximum score here is 345. Gonna check these real fast. Yep, they're all right. Now let's move on to level 5, which is relatively easy, actually, if we have this set up, right? All I got to do now is change the fact that instead of always having 3 rolls, it's a variable number of rolls. All right, so it does not affect any of this. It does affect the active player, right? Now, if the roll is, you know, click that G13 and then lock it. If that is 3, that's one of the reasons why the active player would switch. Or if not 3, but if that's the max rolls. This is not affected. This is not affected, but this definitely is going to be affected, right? So now if this is that is one of the criteria for banking. And if this is that, that's also one of the criteria for banking. So hopefully here, let's see, what else we got? This stuff is just the points that you're getting. Active player changes if you've had 6 rolls. The active player changes goes back to 1. The wallet fills up. The bank here changes. Oh no, and then the last turn is not 3 anymore. The very last turn counts as the max rolls here, but this can't go over 6. So if the turn change, oh, these are hard coded. That's not good. That's not good at all. Who's hard coding those rolls? All right, so now got this, except this last one is always the max because it gets banked, and now we've got 587, right? So we max, whoever wins this game is there. That is all the games. That is all the games. Correct. We have 1,000 points so far. Single most prevalent arrow position occurred. Got all my games here. So I will just, make a little, could maybe concatenate all these. I don't know if I have enough characters for that. Just gonna do it this way. String to array, but 2 row. String to array, so they just fit here. So that's all that. So I start here and do what? Control-Shift-End to highlight everything. Toss up a frequency table, and 840 is the correct answer. Highest number without a double. All right, don't worry about sequences or anything. We're just going to go as far as we can without doubles. All right, so we're going to take all these sequences. We don't care about just the single ones. We're going to take all these sequences and put them on a tab. This is going to be, an input to a what if table. Let's start with the longest, right? Let's say that that's the one I'm looking at. All right, so I need my little, wrap rows formula here to start with. And I want to know what's is this a double? How many have we gone in a row without a double? So if the left character of this equals the right character of this, the right character of C5, then it is a double, so that's 0 in a row. Otherwise, it is the prior one plus 1. So that's the number of doubles in a row. In a what if table, the answer goes here. So it is the maximum of this. How many in a row did we have? And then I make this a what if table where the column input cell is this. And then I find what's the highest number we had in a row. And it's 43. Now, what's the highest score? That was bonus 2. Highest score over 10 consecutive rolls. Don't have to worry about players. Don't have to worry about busts or interns. So this is going to be bonus 3, similar to bonus 2, except instead of tracking the doubles, I'm going to use my score calculation, right? Which I just have right here. Just copy this right over to there, right? This is still going to work just fine, calculating the scores. And then 10 in a row. So I need some at the bottom too, which is good because I have that. So if error, 0 points for that. So now I got even the longest one. I've got lots of space afterwards, which is good. So now the sum of 10 in a row, starting with that one, is here. The highest of 10 in a row is here. And the highest of the highest is here. And it's 380. And that is this case. Thank you for watching. See you next time.